A young film director, Jason Russell, forwarded a link to an internet documentary named Kony 2012, which focused on his personal web experience about African warlord Joseph Kony. This film received more than 70 million views in less than 1 week. Although the film brought a quick awareness to the issue facing African children and child soldiers, it also brought with it instant fame to Russell, who began obsessing over the large number of views he received. Russell eventually underwent what doctors now call a temporary psychotic break when he went to the corner of a busy intersection, took his clothes off, and repeatedly slapped the concrete with the palm of his hands while ranting about the devil. This is just one example of how social media can have both positive and negative implications on an individual. Russell was successful in bringing attention to a growing epidemic of child soldiers in Africa while suffering personal mental health problems caused by internet fame. This video essay will review studies that focus on the positive and negative effects of social media use on young adults. The proposed hypothesis is that while social media platforms have both advantages and disadvantages, they should be used in a cautionary, limited manner to avoid shortcomings that may affect young adults. The purpose of this video essay is to look at the attraction of young adults to social media, the merits of using social media platforms, and recent health risks that appear to be linked to social media use. In a society where young adults are drawn to use social media for social interaction, it's important to research the impact of social media on social engagement and the potential harms associated with excessive use. Throughout the last decade, as continual advancements are made with mobile devices and online access, young adults have increased their social media use. Most young adults are excited when it comes to using social media sites. Almost 90% of young adults said they use one social media site, while 70% use 2 or more sites. This is according to a 2015 survey by the Pew Research Center. Another research study published in 2017 by the Associated Press NORC Center for Public Affairs Research found that 91% of young adults use the regular text messaging tool on their mobile phones, while 40% also use messaging applications. Young adults have options when deciding which social media sites to use. There are currently over 60 social networking sites available. The top 5 include Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. According to Statista Incorporated, one of the leading statistics companies on the internet, young adults in North America between the ages of 16 and 24 spend the most time online on mobile devices. This age group spends nearly 200 minutes or over 3 hours per day on their mobile devices, which is more time than any other age group. From these studies, it is clear that social media is an important part in everyday events of young adults. Since social media has become a prominent tool for social engagement, it is important to look at why young adults are turning to this mediated form of communication. As in years past, many young adults do not have the freedom to walk their neighborhoods and visit their friends. Therefore, this lack of independence has forced young adults to resort to using social media as a communication tool. According to technology and social media scholar Dana Boyd in her book, It's Complicated: The Social Lives of Networked Teens, young adults are not turning to social media because they cannot resist technology. Instead, they are choosing social media to answer to a world where their activities are limited to keep them safe. Boyd said young adults are also using social media as a chance to reclaim some sense of agency and obtain social power. She said young adults look forward to logging in and engaging with their peers in this mediated world compared to young adults from past generations who attended dances, sock hops, and football games. This video essay will take a textual analysis approach of finding specific research studies that address both the advantages and disadvantages of using social media platforms by young adults. This discussion will attempt to provide a clear understanding of the overall impact of social media on young adults and set forth suggestions on managing social media usage for creating positive outcomes and avoiding possible negative effects. Over the last decade, increased studies are focusing on both the positive and negative effects of social media use on young adults. According to a 2015 study titled Digital Media Use and Social Engagement, How Social Media and Smartphones Use Influence Social Activities of College Students, the desire by young adults to belong has motivated them to use social media and smartphones. The study showed evidence of a positive role of social media and mobile technology in social behaviors, and presented a clear understanding that the need to belong by young adults leads to social engagement through social media use. Young adults are not only using social media to connect with their friends, they are using social media to express their identity and opinions. Another 2015 study called Social Media, Its Impact with Positive and Negative Aspects focused on how social media use affects society in a broad scope by looking at its influences on education, business, society, and youth. This study said that social media use helps young adults to stay connected with their peers, aids in the exchange of useful information, helps in finding support and advice online, and gets answers to questions about career goals. Social media platforms are shown to help in the improvement of young adults, communication efforts, and social engagements with peers, help them locate learning materials and educational resources, and encourage participation in organizations that help the communities. Two Kansas University studies in 2004 found that while the internet was an important part of college students' social lives, face-to-face or telephone communication remained the main mode of relationship interaction. Associate Professor of Communication Studies Nancy Bayham, who conducted the research, said her study shows most of the 496 students interviewed used the internet to help existing relationships, even though they believed the internet was inferior to other forms of communication. In her book Personal Connections in the Digital Age, Bayham said as digital technologies are integrated into everyday life, they are viewed with both positive and negative implications. She believed that people have the power to shape their personal connections through the manner they choose to understand and use digital technologies. However, there is recent evidence to show growing disadvantages with social networking, especially with excessive use and addictive behavior. Researchers have been focusing on how social media use affects the emotional and well-being of young adults. According to author A.K. McDaniels in a 2017 article in the Daily Gleaner, a study by the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine with support from the National Institute of Health discovered the more times young adults spend on social media networks, the more likely they will have problems with sleeping and depression. An additional study by the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health found that major depression episodes increased among teenage girls and that cyberbullying played a major role. These studies are consistent in showing that excessive use of social media by young adults may result in possible emotional and mental problems. While social media networks are meant to connect people with friends, relatives, and loved ones, some studies have indicated that excessive social media use may contribute to social isolation. A 2017 study called Social Media Use and Perceived Social Isolation Among Young Adults in the U.S. found that frequent users, or those who were on the internet for at least 2 hours each day, had twice the odds for perceived social isolation. Frequent social media users who checked into the social media platforms 58 or more times in 1 week had 3 times the likelihood of isolation compared to those who checked in 9 times in the same period. Brian Permack, director of the University of Pittsburgh Center for Research on Media, Technology and Health, and the lead author of the study said frequent young adults users of social media will feel less and not more emotional support on social media networks. While recent studies found a connection between excessive social media use and the potential for possible mental health risk in certain individuals, there was no direct link and no conclusive evidence that social media use will result in social isolation, depression, or other negative effects among young adults. As advances continue to grow in social media networking, there will remain concerns over possible adverse effects on particular users. Aside from research studies, some young adults have shared their opinions about the current impact of social media. According to Andrew Watts, a college student attending the University of Texas at Austin, Instagram is by far the most used social media outlet for his age group. He said everything about this application makes it less commercialized and more focused on the content. He said Instagram provides a more pleasant experience, so one is more inclined to like and interact with the post more frequently. Another young adult named Jack has written on his blog that social media use is an esteem booster, providing instant gratification from just one like or comment. He says social media is a great place for entertainment and some light socialization. While Jack admitted that some young adults may well be addicted to social media and are losing the ability to talk face-to-face with their friends and family, he suggested the creation of a tech-free zone. Jack says social media use can provide a valuable connection with the world when practiced in moderation. There is no doubt that social media use can enhance one's life in various ways, but if not managed correctly, excessive social media use can consume one's time and adversely affect work production and social relationships. In order to make the most out of social media use, it is important to follow these 4 simple suggestions for positive results from the social media use. 1. Step away and reviews one's social media usage. 2. Assess one's online habits and reflect on the need for social media. 3. Develop positive social media practices. And 4. Create a more balanced life by limiting one's daily usage. Remember that periodic social media breaks help to clear one's mind and break any routine bad habits. If from a self-analyst there is a hint of excessive social media use, then it is time to cut back. Or if one feels that social media usage has gotten out of control, then help is available through support groups and therapists. One company, Forsters, an international life insurance provider, launched in 2014 the Tech Timeout Academy Challenge, an effort to address a growing concern about young people's reliance on digital devices for communication and the amount of time they spend interacting with people on social media networks. The program's goal is to encourage young people to disconnect from technology for a short period of time. Programs such as the Tech Timeout Academic Challenge are important in educating social media users that too much of a good thing can become a bad thing. This video essay has reviewed a series of studies that focused on the appeal of young adults to social media, the assets of using social media platforms, as well as potential drawbacks associated with excessive social media use. Many young adults are drawn to social media platforms as a safe way to socialize with friends. Young adults have grown up accustomed to communicating online. The desire to belong by young adults is important in motivating them to use social media to communicate with others. Social media has improved the quality of communication and collaboration and allowed for the ease in sharing information and ideas for young adults. But studies have found negative health risks, such as depression and isolation, to be associated with excessive social media use. The key to a successful use of social media for young adults is proper management and control. It is important to encourage users to monitor and assess social media use, while also taking necessary precautions from overusing social media platforms. There is a big difference between using social media and overusing social media. The impact of social media on young people's lives will continue to be examined as new forms of instant communication emerge. As Dana Boyce said in her book, It's Complicated: The Social Lives of Network Teens, new innovations in social media will introduce new challenges as people try to reimagine privacy, assert their sense of identity, and renegotiate everyday social dynamics. Growing up and being a part of network publics is and will remain complicated.